Hi, my name is Dave. Today we're going to look at a strange and very old Goto Kogaku with a Zeus brand on it. This is clearly made by Goto Kogaku, but it had Zeus as the brand. Here's a close-up. This is a Zeus Uranus. Uranus is nominally a 58 millimeter f800, so it's 800 millimeters focal length, 58 millimeters aperture, but the effective aperture is about 55 millimeters or so. Goto Kogaku early on used to specify the designation of a lens probably by the true aperture of the glass rather than by the finished aperture when it's in the housing. So there would be a few millimeters of difference there. And they later started using the letters ED representing effective diameter to state the true clear aperture of the lens. This telescope is 100% original from here up. Down here I had to make this. It didn't come with this structure, and I'll show you. This actually comes out right here. This is all I got, and that's all that was in the box. I had to make this to suit it. And I tried to make that to be fitting with the Goto Kogaku or Zeus type of style. Anyway, so I made that, and it's on some Goto legs from a later telescope. But if you look at this carefully, you will see that it looks exactly like the ads. Here's a picture side by side. Alright, let's take a look at how this telescope works. It's a fairly straightforward alt-azimuth kind of a mount with a slow motion lever arm here. It's particularly kind of tall and rather elegant if you ask me. You can lock it down in azimuth, and then you have a slow motion azimuth, and you can loosen this, then you can slide it and tighten it back down, and then you have right here you can turn this and you have a little bit of control for azimuth, for elevation I should say. Here's the focuser. Everything about this screams Goto Kogaku. As a matter of fact, a close-up of the lens will show you. Let me pull this off, and actually I'll show you a close-up of this. So it's Goto Kogaku, although there is no indication of the aperture, nothing like even effective diameter. Well, one of the things that gives this away as being the early version of this scope is that it doesn't have a finder, and the aperture is smaller. Here's a picture of an ad for a later scope that was officially called Goto Kogaku, very confusingly, and was also a Uranus. But it's a 60 millimeter telescope, and here's a picture. So you can see that there's some very strange stuff afoot here with the Goto Kogaku. Let me show you the accessories that go with this telescope. Here's some very interesting things. First of all, standard complement of eyepieces, more or less. HM25 and HM12.5 and HM6 millimeter. And I think this is a little unusual, an ortho 4 millimeter. Typical sun filter, never to be used. This is the sun projection device. This is the image erecting system, and Goto had the unique way of stacking lenses in there, of course. And what they did with this one, they made this so that it unscrews like so. This then becomes an AH 40 millimeter eyepiece. Slides into a standard Goto Kogaku or any other 965 type of an acceptor. And this thing has just huge eye relief, probably a couple of inches of eye relief, a very narrow field of view, at least with this telescope. So it's a real tricky eyepiece to use as the 40 millimeter. It just doesn't work too well at all. But it works pretty well as the T30. screwed into this thing. Okay, here's how you use this scope with the image erecting eyepiece set up. This is 965. This is the Goto Kogaku T30AH40. So terrestrial, it would give you about 30 power, like so. And this is actually at a pretty convenient height. A little hard to reach the controls, but pretty convenient height. So for terrestrial use, would work just about like that. This device is for projecting an image of the sun. I've not actually ever used one of these, but apparently you can use this maybe in conjunction with some of the optics from the other part to project an image of the sun into a darkened room, or maybe onto a box, inside a box or something like that. Might be fun to try that sometime, actually. Okay, let's give this a try. First thing you have to do is find the sun. Let's see. This is really not too much different than a standard solar projector. It does have one advantage in that you can move this back and forth. I'm not sure if you can see that. Let me turn this a little bit so you can see it over here maybe. You can move this back and forth. This is basically just a star diagonal, and effectively there's an eyepiece in there. So you can move it back and forth like that. I can imagine, they show diagrams of this projecting into a darkened room with a classroom full of students. Probably a pretty tricky thing to do, but you can at least get an image of the sun and then redirect it kind of where you need it to be. So not bad. I don't see any sunspots today. So I think that's how that would be designed to work. Something like that. Let me show you how this gets stored in the box. First of all, you have to put it in a little bit unusual position, like that. Then there's actually a special slot in the box. It slips right in there. There it is. And of course there's places for eyepieces and all the other stuff in there as well. I hope you've enjoyed having a look at this Goto Kogaku Zeus Uranus telescope, 58mm f800. Thank you very much for watching.